Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Best Care Anywhere podcast. As per usual, I am your host, Anthony, joined always by a man who is being persecuted by at least one airline, 2 state police agencies, 4 county sheriffs, the National Transportation Safety Board, and 1 rather rude hospital security guard. It's Ethan Wilson.
Well, first of all, the NTSB has it coming, and second of all, you forgot about the March of Dimes. So,
What did you do to the March of... I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Ethan,
yeah.
Ethan, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You are never allowed to travel ever again.
Wow. I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
Ethan, this most recent trip of yours was so chaotic and bad, I genuinely did not want to make fun of you.
Yeah, that's a pretty high bar.
I stopped wanting to make fun of you, and I felt genuine pity. Like,
well, hold on. Let's not go that far.
How do you attract the attention of every possible person that could make your travel worse?
I don't know. Clean living, I guess. I don't know what you want me to say, man. I feel like I'm not saying, it's a big world out there and I know next to nothing about it. But, all this bullshit is really lending itself to the whole reincarnation theory. Like, what if I was just a really fucking horrible person? What if it's karma? What if it's coming back around?
Dude, I think you peed on the hat of a village witch at some point because...
Oh shit, you know what it was? It was back when I was a senior in high school and going for all the girls that weren't allowed to have shoelaces, and probably a few of them were witches, and they probably put a curse or two on me.
Yeah. So can I give the audience a synopsis of like a short version of the
I would love to hear an outsider's perspective of it. Yes.
So we had to reschedule the recording because Ethan was traveling. Ethan was traveling to California for a lesbian wedding, which, as Ethan told me via text, bonus points because double the bridesmaids. He made it to Sacramento, proceeded to get into a rear end fender bender the night before the wedding. His flight was delayed 4 hours out of Sacramento, so he missed his connecting flight in Denver to Wichita. Flew in the course of before that, got harassed by a hospital rent-a-cop. Made it to Denver, rented a car to drive from Denver to Wichita, was pulled over at least twice that I know of, and then finally made it home after 12 hours of driving?
Yeah, and then proceeded to... I didn't even go home. I was already 10 minutes late for my shift at the auto parts store, so I worked a full 8. Holy shit.
Yeah, you're now realizing how fucked up. Like, how does this happen to you? You have the worst luck traveling and interactions with law enforcement that of anyone I know. I don't understand how you do it.
Actually, you know what? I'd like to hear some audience participation in on this. Hello, you out there allegedly listening to us. How many times in the course of your life have you been pulled over? And how many times is too many? Because
bonus points if you somehow have been pulled over less than the number of times Ethan has been pulled over in this calendar year.
I genuinely stopped keeping track after 24. Like, I can't remember anymore.
This year or all time?
All time.
Okay.
This year it's only 6.
That's so many
4?
too many. That's so many too many.
No, 6. That sounds right, yeah. Anyway, how are you? You're crunching. That's what you are.
Yeah. Do you know how you accidentally just do something out of like muscle memory? I just opened a bag of kettle chips and ate one and then had the thought to myself, "You fucking idiot! You're doing a podcast." So now there's an open bag of barbecue kettle chips looking at me that I can't touch, and I've done this to myself. But I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah,
It
you
was
remember how
storming.
we were talking about karma? What
Mhm.
did you do? Who did you piss off
I
in a past
didn't piss
life?
off anybody. I got my first 4-digit paycheck in 3 years the other day. I bought some stuff at the Bass Pro Shop. I wasted 20 minutes of a timeshare salesman's time. It was great.
Wait,
It was
but was
great.
it at least like a timeshare where you waste their time and then you get something free out of it? Or did they
Oh
stop
no,
doing that?
no, they sucked me in. I say sucked me in. I let them suck me in with the $25,000 lottery to, like a shopping spree lottery. And then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, by the way, do you want a timeshare?" I'm like, "Sure, let's talk about it," because I know there is no way you can get any money out of me because I don't make a certain amount of money per year. And once you find that out, you're going to instantly stop talking to me. And guess what happened? Exactly that. So yeah, it was great.
It's like all of the
Uh,
military recruiters once I tell them about my fucked up knees from construction.
mhm. But anyway,
But
that's
any
about it.
who's or bees.
There's nothing new or exciting or interesting going on.
So, you know what? California, like the last 2 years, because I remember last time about this time of year I came out to California, I was driving in the Bay Area through like 100-yard long puddles up to,
Mhm.
at least 2 feet deep. And now
Yeah.
you guys are getting. What the fuck is going on? Did you make a deal? Like,
I
did the
don't know.
state collectively sell their soul for rain?
No, I don't know. I don't know what's
Offer
going on. I'm
version
just here,
every
man.
year to the thing that lives in the orchards. Keeps the
Hey,
crops warm.
on a completely non-match related note, you want to know the most? I think if I've already told you. So you want to know what the most menacing sentence I heard so far this year is?
Hmm.
Flowers are blooming in Antarctica.
I-
There is some dark energy to that sentence.
If you say that to me again tonight, I will leave this call. Craig be damned.
Not gonna lie, that picture I sent kind of makes a cool like t-shirt design, just like a Victorian skull wearing a flower crown and just simple script text underneath that said "Flowers are blooming in Antarctica."
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
great.
absolutely.
Try not to think about it.
Let's watch some goddamn TV.
All right. So this week's episode is season 2, episode 16, Henry in Love. Directed by Don Weiss, written by Larry Gelbart and Lawrence Marks, aired January 5th, 1974. Are you ready, Ethan? Are you
No.
ready to dive into this? So we'll ease our way into it. Don Weiss, this is his 6th of 16 mashes. Some of the ones he's done before are Cowboy, Sticky Wicket, Fred C. Dobbs, The Trial of Henry Blake, and Dear Dad Trace. Larry Gelbart and Lawrence Marks, as we have discussed, they are who, Ethan?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Ethan.
I'm
Ethan, my
just
love.
here. Yeah.
Ethan.
Yo.
They are the head writer and producer of the show.
No, I'm pretty sure Larry Gelbart plays the titular Frank Burns.
Nope, that's a different. All right.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Larry plays Hot Lips. That's my bad.
No.
I apologize.
No treats for Ethan. Severe
Oh,
punishment to ensue.
oh
All right.
God, I can hear the pen scratching. Oh God.
So we open on this wonderful episode with one of the most relatable things from working at camp.
Yeah. You know it.
Standing at attention, respectfully, for the flag of our nation, while some pimply 12-year-old blows hot air through a tube. Just the number of times that this has happened, that this has been Ethan and I.
The
You know,
problem is there's a point when it's so bad that you can't. It becomes really hard to stand at full attention.
there's like an uncanny valley of bugling. Like if it's really good, it's good. If it's really bad, you're there's like that little bit of like, oh, you're trying, bud. But if it's like pretty good, but then like dips real quick into really bad and then back to okay, that shit is the funniest. Like, Radar is just about at that uncanny valley of, if it were worse, I couldn't laugh. If it were better, I couldn't laugh. But he's almost in that perfect valley of, damn, I would be struggling to not laugh, and I'd feel so bad about it if I did. But yeah. Yeah, scout buglers are come in a wide range of skill ability.
Do you think
But
that's Gary Berghoff really playing the bugle?
you know, I was thinking about that. I don't know.
Because we know he's very talented in, like, what the fuck? Like, dude's a kick-ass drummer, and then last episode we saw him waltzing like nobody's business. I'm pretty sure that this is just turned into the Gary Berghoff talent hour.
Pretty much.
And I'm cool with it, quite frankly. I want it to keep coming.
Some flag ceremony etiquette. Yes, they are taking the flag down very slow because that's what you're supposed to do. Is take it down slowly, raise it quickly.
Do you know
we
what?
also
Go
see.
on.
No, Margaret makes the same face that I've absolutely made during a flag ceremony where she's saluting, but she's like her eyes are shifting and she's like pursing her lip, like, this is going well, sort of. But yeah, this very relatable. You were saying?
No. Please go on. I have a thought, but it does not really lend itself
To this moment.
for about another 45 seconds of dialogue. So please continue.
So we see that Frank has been in command. If it wasn't obvious by the red, white, and blue rocks painted around camp. Frank is giving his end of command speech about how leadership is a lonely business. He is glad to have been able to lead them while Colonel Blake was away. You know, all that ridiculousness. We see
Comparing
that
himself to fucking Napoleon.
Napoleon, Kaiser, and Attila the Hun, who arguably, yeah, good leaders, also kind of egomaniacs, which, damn, that's interesting.
Frank is
Anyway,
halfway there.
we see that Trapper and Hawkeye are toasting to the return of Henry, able to leap tall bar stools in a single bound, faster than a speeding nurse. It's Super Colonel. We then
Now-
get some. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I really thought, wow, we're really going to kick off this episode with 2 camp references. I'm so sorry, listeners.
Yes.
So, you remember that for a good long while, we had a red metal U.S. postal box that was just sort of hanging out in the lodge. And it was
Yes.
never actually good for shit because anything you put in there would never go anywhere. It would never get mailed. We would use it as a prop sometimes.
Damn, because I'm pretty sure we told the scouts that that's how they could send mail out.
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
hoping something got done with it. But
oh no. So I remember one of the years we were using it as a prop for our daily lunchtime skit. A few scouts had put in a couple of suggestions that almost made, I think it would have been Ben and...
So, yes. So,
yeah.
I believe the synopsis was... So, a little bit of behind the curtains for anyone who has or will be going to scout camp for any reason. Not everything is as spontaneous as you think it is, because if it was, the camp would burn down the third day. So I believe the lunchtime skit was like the Olympic challenges, and it was supposed to be, in big quotation marks, suggestions from the troops of what the events would be, you know, tug of war, stuff like that. So we let the scouts think they were choosing, but in reality, we had already had the events picked so that we didn't have to try to come up with how to do this challenge in, you know, on the fly. But yes, the scouts did genuinely leave suggestions in the box. And continue, Ethan. Some of them were...
Well, so I'm thinking about this when Frank's addressing the group at large. But some of the notes in the suggestion box were really below the belt. I mean, why drag my mother
Why
into
drag
this?
my mother into this?
And
Oh no.
it reminded me of the time that our good friend Ben, I've already said his name, so I won't say more than that, but oh well, Ben, haha, doxed you, nearly had a meltdown because one of the scouts, we assume an older scout, had put in a note something along the lines, oh god, do you even remember what it said?
I believe, was it something along the lines of, God, I don't remember what it was, but it was, I believe it came with a stick
Yes,
figure
it did.
demonstration
A stick figure
of how
diagram.
this challenge would go down, and it was, yeah,
There was a can of peaches involved. It was just a whole thing. and
mm-hmm.
and because they grabbed it at random and Ben just opened it up on stage, he is face to face with this page straight out of a 16-year-old's Karma Sutra, and nearly lost it.
Hey, teenagers will be teenagers, my guy. Like,
Yeah, hell,
yeah.
Henry's about to find that out in this
No,
episode.
nope, he will not. But we will get to that. So Frank and Margaret are in Margaret's tent as per usual. Frank is given the dubious honor of being able to read Margaret's diary.
No. There's nothing dubious about that honor. That is like the highest form of love language a woman can show someone. Like, damn, Frank, what did you do? How did you do it?
Yeah, just by being him.
Yeah.
Dear diary, I can't go to sleep before I tell you about my scrumptious Major FB. In the last few days, it's been so exciting to see him grow as a leader or as a commander. Diary, I say that this man, dare I say my man, it's just, dare I say my man, yes. Just,
I thought that was gonna be the hardest part to watch of this entire episode.
Oh no, it'll get worse. Yeah, it's the sappy, Frank is so wonderful, la la la, Margaretisms. But as they're doing that, Radar shows up to give Frank a message. Frank says, slip it under the door. Radar responds with, it's a verbal message. I'll get my lips dirty. The message is that Colonel Blake is not returning for another 2 days. And so Frank is free to continue doing the thing at the MASH unit, which is a little strange that Henry's coming back late, but we will soon find out why. The next shot is 2 days later. Henry is rolling into camp. Music is playing. He seems very light-footed, spring in his step, very happy to be back. And we cut to Henry's office where he is pouring drinks for Trapper and Hawkeye, debriefing on what happened in his absence. And Trapper and Hawkeye are not fooled for 1 second. They know something is up. So they ask Henry, what has him so excited? Henry's response is that he is in love.
I would hope so. He has a wife and several children.
I love the I'm in love, and Hawkeye and Trapper just kind of look at each other, and Hawkeye for the next minute and a half just has the same look on his face, a mouth agape, staring at Henry, and I kind of love
it. Well, don't keep us in suspense. Who's the man, woman, or child?
So Henry explains that despite being middle-aged, 44 years old to be specific, keep that number in mind, ladies and gentlemen, 44, and that he is suffering from many of the onsets of middle age, thinning hair, spreading hips, needing to use the bathroom frequently in the evening.
I'd love to spread hip, never
mind. He is puppy dog in love, as they say. And he shows Trapper and Hawkeye a picture of the lovely young lady, to which Trapper and Hawkeye's replies are very wonderful. What? That's a beautiful young lady. Yeah, and you're in love with her mother. Henry has fallen in love. with one Nancy Sue Parker. But don't worry, she'll be 21 in August. So a 44-year-old Henry has fallen in love with 20-year-old Nancy Sue Parker, a clerk typist for the Air Force. And he has, as he says, the big LUV. They went out to eat, they strolled down the Ginza, and as Hawkeye points out, very comfortable in the fact knowing that very few Japanese communicate with Henry's wife. And Henry and the other shoe drops for Henry. You can tell that's the first time he has thought about that aspect of his life in several days. And to Trapper and Hawkeye's credit, they at least hear Henry out. They're not complete dicks.
Well, they're also not hypocrites. I mean,
yes.
So, where did we land with the retconning? Because Hawkeye is single.
Hawkeye
but
is single.
Trapper married?
Trapper is married with 2 daughters.
Okay.
Henry is married with, I believe, canonically, an older son, a middle daughter, and a newborn son at this point.
Okay. So
Andrew, the daughter whose name I'm forgetting, we see in the movie, and then the son that was born at the end of season 1, off camera, obviously. So yeah, Henry's dating someone less than half his age. How do we feel about that?
Dirty. Like I need to take a shower.
So let's finish out the scene real quick. So
yeah.
Hawkeye and Trapper call Henry and it's like, so you have a wife? And Henry's like, well, what do I do? And Trapper, being the other married man in the room, has some words of wisdom, like, hey, it's happened to many a married man. You flung your fling, that's wonderful. But then Henry drops the bombshell, oh, I think you'll change your tune when Miss Parker shows up to the camp. Henry! But according to Henry, it'll all be up on the up and up. He'll be in her tent, or he'll be in his tent,
yes,
and she'll
be
in hers. And then Hawkeye and Trapper, knowing how Henry is, say, and yeah, we'll start digging the tunnel. And Henry's face very much alludes to the fact, like, yeah, sure, it'll be on the up and up. So the first of 2 topics that I figured, let's get a little spicy this episode. And I will preface this with, Ethan and I are young men. I'm 29. Ethan is
unknown.
Seriously though, do you prefer for it to be unknown? Because I won't say.
I kind of like this sort of chaotic energy I've cultivated for myself very carefully over these last few episodes.
Early to mid 20s, can we say that?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Early to mid 20s. I am approaching 30. I have had very little long-term relationship experience. Ethan, I will let you speak for yourself as we get into this conversation, as you are comfortable. But let's pose a question. 44 and 20. How do we feel about that?
I know. I think it was, if not first put forth by Parks and Rec, it was certainly popularized by it. Half your age plus 7. And, that still to me seems like a sliding scale, but I feel like at 44, half of that, 29, I can absolutely see a 44-year-old dating a 29-year-old.
Still a little weird to some people, I would imagine.
But if you are middle-aged and with someone who cannot legally drink, that...
Yeah, that's... See, okay, so my rule of thumb is half your age plus 7, no less than 21. That's kind of the rules that I've kind of, I don't want to say played by, but kind of like judge. Man, that sounds really harsh. Judge others by, but that's like, to me, the half your age plus 7 with the caveat of over 21, just because I think you said it in one of our conversations, like you want to be able to at least go and get a fucking drink.
Well, and all fairness, because we are both, believe it or not, 2 healthy young men. I am willing to recognize that women mature much quicker than we do. So dating a 20-year-old gal would be probably the equivalent to what dating most 25-year-old men. Do you think that's fair to say?
Depends.
Well, of
But
course it depends, but I
it
mean,
depends on the
let's.
person. But broadly, I'm of two minds. One, there's the part of me, for reasons we'll get into eventually, that's like, fuck you, love who you love as long as it's legal. But there's the other part of me, it's like, that could very realistically be Henry's child. Like, when Nancy Sue Parker was born, Henry was 24. So, yeah, it's. I don't know. If a 44-year-old man came up to me and said, I am dating and actively having romantic relationships with a 20-year-old, I'd be like, you're fucking weird. But that's about as far as I'd take it. Like, yeah, it's weird, but, it's technically above board according to the law.
Well,
You know?
legality and morality are two very, very separate things.
Yes. Very much so.
Here's the thing, and we can get into this a little later on. If any man out there of any age range wants to date a woman in their late teens and early 20s, like pre-drinking age, if they want to do that to themselves, that is their God-given right. There are repercussions,
Mhm.
and you deserve them. That's all like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept what two consenting adults do as long as they both accept that, holy shit,
You're
what
going
a
to get looked
fucking
at. Weird.
time of your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. 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 It's weird. But yeah, that's going to lead into the more, I almost want to say the more serious and further reaching topic that we'll get into here in a little bit. But so yeah, we cut to Henry preparing for Miss Nancy Sue Parker's arrival in all the
Pacing.
ways that you expect a middle-aged man to prepare for his much younger date. He is dyeing his hair. He is recognizing that he's maybe a little pudgier than he was in his youth. So he immediately after dyeing his hair goes on like a 2-mile run. Which leads to one of my absolute favorite lines from Hawkeye. Henry, yeah, do you know your hair's bleeding? It's like, oh, it's so good. In the midst of this, Radar is attempting to deliver Henry letters from home. Mark that, it'll be important later. Henry is also doing push-ups. He's doing everything to try to. I love this. I love the Henry Blake 24 hours to a new body workout routine. It's such like, I feel like we've all done that at some point. Like, I distinctly remember thinking, like, as like a teenager, like, oh, I have to do my yearly physical for the medical form for scouts to go to summer camp. If I do 7 push-ups tonight, I'll lose 10 pounds before they weigh me at the doctor's office. Like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all, Henry.
The secret is to just go on a super long overnight hike and then bring no water.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Water
Yeah.
weight accounts for a lot.
Yeah, but you do also have to be hydrated.
See, that's just a myth. Big water
I'm about
wants
to
you
say
to
big
keep
water wants you.
Water kills.
All right then.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Henry dating a child. She's not a child. She's a young adult.
A little too young of an adult, if you ask me.
So Henry dyes his hair, is trying to get fit. McLean Stevenson does look good with that dark head of hair, though, I will say. We cut to the commercial. Henry is eagerly awaiting Miss Parker's arrival. Trapper and Hawkeye are giving him crap. He's wondering where Nancy is. Hawkeye says a school bus is running late. God, they are relentless.
Yeah, they're on top of it with the zingers today.
I would like to point out the painted rock continuity. The rocks are still the same color from when Frank painted them.
I
Love it.
love the outdoor on location sets in
Yes.
the Malibu Creek State Park.
Malibu Creek State Park. Yes, yes.
Yes. I love it so much. Oh, so beautiful. Anyway, yeah, painted rocks, good job. The only thing I kind of like Frank for.
Henry asked them to stop making those comments, and to Hawkeye's credit, he's like, "Okay, Henry, Trapper never commits," and then immediately follows it up with "Teenager, 12 o'clock." Which, what an asshole! But yes, I love it.
Careful.
And we see our first glimpse of Miss Nancy Sue, and I won't deny it. A lovely young lady.
Look, Anthony.
Yes.
But between you and me, and you know, all of the people you pay
before
to
you tear her down, can I say one thing?
Without condemning nor condoning.
No. Before
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
All I was gonna say is I love her fashion sense. I'm digging the pink cardigan. I don't know why.
Well,
very fuzzy.
I did a little bit of Googling before we got in here, and I think we're on the exact same page, so I'm gonna let you lead off with Catherine Bauman.
Oh, you Googled Catherine. Do you want to tell us what you found, and then I can fill in if there's anything you missed?
Catherine Bauman, born September 11th, 1949 in Ohio. She is,
where in Ohio?
Independence.
Which is where Nancy Sue is from, by the way.
Wait a second. Yeah, that's right. Hold on. Okay, that's a cool little detail. Yeah, 5'4". So I did the math. That would make her 24 at time of filming this. You know, it helps nothing, but I thought that I would just at least make that statement. But she was also
is that 24 at the time of filming this? Hang on, quick maths. Because this released in 1974.
January of, yeah.
Because one of the sources I found says she was 26 at the time of filming, but that math doesn't work if that's her birthday. Yeah. Whatever. She's in her 20s. She's not as young as the character she's playing, but she's in her 20s.
So she studied at UCLA and spent some time at Oxford abroad. She, over the course of her 15-year career, did a lot of shows, including Knight Rider, Simon and Simon, The Fall Guy, Fantasy Island, Chips, and The Dukes of Hazzard. Yeehaw! But of course, is well known for this. Trivia: Miss America runner-up in 1970. Good God, I want to see who
Miss
the winner
Ohio
was.
of 69.
You know what they
you
say.
You are such a goddamn child. You know that.
I really respect her accomplishments. That must have taken a lot of hard work and dedication.
Jesus Christ. Do you find anything else about Miss Catherine Bauman?
Well, what I just read, is that she started her own jewelry store out of Beverly Hills in the late 80s, and is actually pretty well renowned for it.
Yes, she is known as the Bag Lady of Beverly Hills.
That is, it. Is that what you want to be known for?
So to fill in some of the holes, she ended her 15-year acting career because she fell through a plate glass window and needed almost 300 stitches in her leg. While she was recovering,
fucking Christ!
While she was recovering, she couldn't get work, and she was worried that she would become a bag lady. And then she's like, "Wait, brilliant idea!" And she made like high-quality designer bags. One that was featured in People magazine that was a large, lush pair of lips. The second of which, and probably the most famous, was the custom-made Titanic handbag carried to the 1998 Academy Awards by Julie Landau, wife of Titanic's co-producer John Landau.
Holy shit.
It was a Titanic purse made with 15,000 hand-laid Swarovski crystals and 24 karat gold. Do you want to see what this looks like?
Yeah, I'm going to need you to send it immediately. And while you send it, I'm going to make my stupid little joke. It really makes, oh my fucking God.
Isn't like, okay, I know we are not handbag people, but is that not kind of fucking bitchy?
So,
That's kind of a bitchin' handbag.
I'm going to be totally honest. There is a subclass of girls out there that will give you the best time of your life, but they own a pile of stuffed animals and other accessories. And before you can go on any dates with them, you have to learn every single one of their names. If I saw that on a bed with a pile of other stuffies, I would go, oh, cool, and not give it a second glance. Had you not told me that it was 24 karat gold, and how many inlaid jewels did you say?
15,000 hand-set Swarovski crystals.
So
you'd just chuck that thing out of the way to sit on the bed, wouldn't you? You wouldn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would literally be holding and throwing away more money than I could possibly fathom.
Yep. Anyway,
so as depressing as that is, I want to discuss the very, very sort of cruel irony and after hearing about her unfortunate accident in Hawkeye's Lie. I'm a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You can believe me. That's a nice leg.
That's a nice leg. Yeah.
300 stitches.
Yep. 272 to be precise.
She is a fucking badass for that. Like, holy shit.
So, initially, as Miss Parker's being introduced, she seems very nice, very polite, very formal. But then she starts going down that downward, I'm going to call it, for lack of a better word, the downward college white girl spiral, where she's just a little overly emotive, a little overly bubbly. That's just a me opinion. I'm a little more chill, laid back. Nancy would be a little too much, too much energy for my like introverted ass.
Well, what? More than anything, it's odd to see that spiral. Like you're sort of expecting that overly emotional spiral, for lack of a better term, when there's a group of people in a similar disposition and they're all feeding off of each other. But she's just like this naturally. I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing. For all of my bullshit, for all the bullshit that you've put up with, I can't do it in a vacuum. I have to feed off of it somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
she's
on natural. Yeah. And goddamn. And then
yeah, I love that Radar walks up. You just have to be Corporal O'Reilly. Yes, ma'am, I just have to be. And Radar's like, I don't even know what to do. No, Radar doesn't know what to do. He's like, this is so much more than I was expecting today.
You could see that little shift when they walk in and him looking for all the possible exits, and he realizes, oh God, I have to go through the front door.
Yep. I would say the initial greeting of Nancy is not bad. She's bubbly, she's young, she's a lot, but not, she's a young girl. She's out, she's in a foreign country doing, like, parts of this episode, I'm trying to look at it from Nancy's perspective. Like, she's traveling, she's in other countries, she's meeting new people all the time. Like, that's kind of an exciting thing to do when you're, just getting out into the world. Like, I can respect, like, where she's at.
Speaking of getting out into the world, for the sake of my own mind, I understand that this is a TV show, but logistically here in the real world, if this were to take place, how would a person, a MASH personnel on leave get from Korea to Japan? Would they fly? Would they take a boat?
Jeep or helicopter to Incheon or Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
Military transport plane to the island.
So if you had to guess on the sort of time commitment that would be, because like that doesn't sound like a small task. That sounds like at least a
So
day's of travel, right?
it's probably in the 50s a day's travel because you're taking a Jeep. Worst case scenario, you're taking a Jeep to Seoul. And I believe in the real world, Uijeongbu to Seoul is not that far distance wise. I can actually look it
Sure.
up here real quick. Uijeongbu, South Korea map. It's about, let's find out here. Oh, Uijeongbu. Uijeongbu.
We do what to Boo?
Uijeongbu.
I don't want a Zhong Boo. I like Boo.
On current modern highways, I don't want to take public transit. I want to drive my own car.
Public
What do you mean
transport?
driving is not available? Okay, I don't know what's going on in South Korea. Let's assume that the public transport time is like military transport time. It's about an hour and a half to get from downtown Uijeongbu to downtown Tokyo.
Yeah,
So
so
I would
you
say it's
couple that
probably
with some 18-year-old in a Jeep that they don't own. Yeah, absolutely an hour.
and military checkpoints. I'm saying it's absolutely an hour and a half by Jeep, probably half hour, 40 minutes by helicopter. And then
Okay.
you're flying from Seoul to Tokyo, which that's probably a couple hours of flying at least.
So I say all that to say this. I hopped on a Discord call after my most recent travel. How is this bitch this bubbly? What the is she on something? Can I have some? I bet she didn't get pulled.
Say it's about a 2.5 hour flight on a modern commercial jet. So we're looking at least 4 to 5 hour flight in
Right.
a C-47 or something similar.
Yeah, with absolutely no amenities whatsoever, you know.
I mean, it was at least insulated. We'll give it that much. It was
Well,
at least an insulated
yeah.
aircraft.
Yeah, but okay, I see what you're driving at. So,
So yeah,
anyway.
she just traveled basically the better part of half a day to get to the MASH unit. Anyway. So yeah, they meet her. Henry takes her back to her tent.
Really, did this also make you uncomfortable?
Which part?
The hug mostly.
The hug, sniffs perfume. What are you wearing? Practically nothing. Yeah. Fortunately, Henry has to go on duty, so we don't get to see any of that. But before we transition to the Officers Club, I think this is an interesting moment to bring up a second talking point that is going to become more pertinent as the series goes on with a couple of episodes.
Oh boy.
Infidelity.
Oh yeah.
We have a single man, Hawkeye, who is very much a womanizer. And we have 3 other doctors who are married and have been unfaithful more times than I can count in the course of this episode. Well, yes, in the course of this episode, but in the course of the series so far. So I would like to take a moment, have an adult conversation. Why? Por qué infidelity?
Like in this exact scenario, or
yes, but also broadly. And I open this question to the audience as well. And again, caveat: we're both single at the moment, have never been married, various levels of dating experience. Me, very little. Ethan, some. Why?
fair to middling.
What? Because let me explain it from my point of view. I think you would agree or disagree with me, Ethan. Growing up, you are either subliminally or directly taught via family, friends, media, whatever, like marriage good, marriage wholesome, marriage between 2 people important, separation from that bad, no likey, be faithful to spouse. Like, is that kind of the vibe that you were taught, or like,
Well, before
again,
we go
asterisks.
any further into this, I want to make this abundantly clear, and this is news to absolutely no one. I am a fucking moron. My personal
Uh-huh.
opinions should not be taken at any way, shape, or form. I'm more than happy to give them, but just know they are probably wrong and stupid. So, when they are wrong and stupid, just accept that I have a lot of growing up to do.
I think the
And
audience
and
appreciates where we're coming from, as far as we're just saying what we think, and we might be wrong, we might be not wrong, we might, it's opinions are opinions. Opinions are like assholes, everyone's got them, most of them stink, like, we know.
well, yeah, absolutely. I think that it's always infidelity bad, and I think there's a lot of good reason for that. Um, I know you have very little dating experience, but I'll ask you anyway, and if you want to cut it out, you can. Have you ever been cheated on?
No, no, I say no because I've never been in a relationship that I would consider serious enough to consider that as being an option of something that happened. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
I cannot say that I've been in a serious enough or long-term enough relationship for that to have been a thing that could have happened.
Okay, and
But
that's fair.
yeah, may I reverse the question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the answer is yes. So
Can I ask the more spicy question
okay.
that I think I already know the answer to?
Mhm.
You say you've been cheated on. Have you ever been in Trapper Frank or Henry's shoes and been the cheater?
I have had the opportunity, and I'm not proud to admit this, but I will say I almost, I was in a relationship at the time. This was back when I was 22, end of
Okay.
21, beginning of 22. So just before I left to move from Northern Cal, just before I moved out to Kansas, when I was in a bad place with the relationship I was in, and out of nowhere, uh, a high school sweetheart gets in touch, and things start, getting
Mm-hmm.
spiral. And I let myself go a little too far down that road, and then I realized, what are you doing? This happened to you. How could you do this to anyone else? And I told
Mm.
her, look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done this. This is where I'm at, and um, I can't talk to you anymore. So not a proud moment in
Interesting. Okay.
I but
So
I'm not even gonna try to defend it.
so having
I
no no no
don't
no no that's
think
fine. Because I don't think if someone comes to me and says I cheated on someone, like, obviously there's a little bit of like, ooh, okay, not great. But I also understand, like, people are human beings are fucking weird and fucked up. We are a weird fucking creature. Like, I like, yeah, fucking high school flame reached out to you. Clearly you guys had a relationship before. There's no reason to expect, like, you to not reciprocate that in some way, because you're a human being with emotions and they're a human being with emotions. Like, yeah, I don't fault you for that at all. But on the flip side, your moral compass kicked in and went, hey, this has been fun, now stop. So yeah, the reason I bring it up is because they're gonna very clearly, as we've talked about so far in the show, fidelity is played for laughs damn near every episode, right? Like,
yeah.
uh, I think, how many different nurses has Henry tried to proposition over the last like season and a half?
Probably
Trapper,
a half dozen.
yeah, Trapper also. Frank is in a continuing uh uh relationship with Margaret despite being married. Like, I understand that there's a lot of, like, comedy and drama potential to do the ooh, they're married men trying to, get a gal. But there's also I also understand there's the whole, they're far away from home, they're in a war zone, they're again, like I said, they're human beings with emotions and urges, and I don't fault them for that. But the question I'm trying to get to is why? Why why would three married men who have families, who have children, who have a life back home. I appreciate the natural urge side of it, but I'm curious to your thoughts. What other reasons,
Well,
other than
I'd
the
love to offer my thoughts. And
please
again, I
and
it's
again, audience, let me know. I'm a single moron.
yeah,
Please
please
share
come
with
on.
me.
Let's hear the thoughts. And also, we have no experience in an active war zone, and I understand this is a TV show. I can separate it from reality every now and again, but still, for the purposes of this being a show telling a story, I cannot speak to how the fuck any of this would go down in a war zone. But what I can tell you is when, in my experience, shit has gone so sideways, your life
Hmm.
is fucked up, upside down, etc., etc. 20 or 30 minutes of turning your brain off and just enjoying yourself, enjoying life, and then dealing with the consequences of it afterward sounds a lot more enjoyable at the time than dealing with life as it is without a little
Mm.
reprieve. The problem with it is,
So,
in my
so
experience, that reprieve and then dealing with, the ramifications of it after are just make things worse.
it's not worth the 30 minutes of
Exactly.
escapism.
Yeah.
So,
But
so there's an escapism part of it. I get that.
yeah.
Um, I'm wondering. I'm looking at particularly Henry in this episode. I'm wondering if there's also an element for Henry specifically of he's obviously the oldest member of camp, I would imagine, in his 40s. I'm wondering, and we see that he did things like try to, do some exercise and look a little more in shape. We're going to hear a comment at the end of the episode that he's been sucking his gut in the entire time that she was here. He dyed his hair. I'm wondering if it's you become, I don't want to say complacent because that sounds really harsh. Henry will admit at the end of the show that he found his one woman and she's back, $68 overdrawn in Bloomington, Illinois. I'm wondering if there's between the war and just life in general, you get a little, again, for lack of a better term, complacent. And when someone looks at you with fresh eyes and fresh emotion and fresh, oh my gosh, big strong man, you handsome W. I'm wondering if that kicks a little bit of like, kind of like the general said in the last episode. Uh, you know, I would have loved to have seen the one that got away. You know how it is. I used to, Sonny. Like I'm wondering if there's a little bit of that reclaiming youth type thing. Like, oh look, I'm young and virile and being the adoration of a young woman again when his wife is not around to remind him that he's already got what he wants. I don't
Well,
know. I am also not a psychiatrist, so please do not look deeper into what I just said. But I'm
well,
just spitballing some thoughts out there.
I think that line of thinking, I went sort of down a similar rabbit hole, but I'm wondering if it might not be for Henry's character almost a bit of a competitive streak in the sense of he's hanging around
Mm,
Hawkeye and Trapper, and it's very well established they're the biggest operators in the outfit. Um, I wonder if it's a little bit of something to prove.
maybe, but so yeah. The reason I bring this up, like I said, they're gonna obviously the marital fidelity thing gets played with a lot, but going forward as we go into the later seasons, there's gonna be a lot more interesting episodes around the dates and who asks out who and the motivations behind it and fallout from it. So I figured it'd be a decent chance for us to ask some groundwork questions and see if those how our feelings change or don't change as the episodes go on. So So
If
I guess the last question I'll ask is for our three big marital infidelity boys in camp, Trapper, Frank, and Henry. What's kind of your vibe for each of them as far like clearly like why like I think Henry it's just a I'm away from home lonely and maybe want a little bit of attention and from a lady like I can see that. What about Trapper? Is it more of a younger, randier woman, woman's man type vibe? What do you
I
think?
well,
You're
and
you
first of
you you
all,
love Trapper. Defend him. Go.
I'm not really I'm not going to defend him as much as I probably would like to tell you the truth, just because I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that infidelity is not excusable.
Okay.
Perhaps under
Pause.
the
Pause.
okay,
Question.
yeah.
I would agree. Infidelity is not excusable. I would say though, there is a difference between infidelity between a couple who has been dating for a short to moderate amount of time, like year to 2 years, and people who are married and committed to each other in a more formal sense. Would I don't know why. I think both are equally bad, but there is something a little more like, hey, we did this whole thing and bound with each other for what was supposed to be better or worse slash life. Something about that is a little more icky to me, but I still think both are bad. That's
Well,
just kind of my
that's really more what I'm driving at, in the sense of, I mean, everybody's gotten their heart broken a few times if you're living life right. That's, I'm here for all the grief that I can stand, etc., etc. But uh in the context of the show, I can't speak to the war aspect. We've made that abundantly clear. I can't speak to the marriage aspect either. But what I
neither
can
can I.
speak to is, those are two people that have, stood up in front of God and or their family and friends and declared themselves a union. That
Mhm.
is what makes it harder to swallow.
Yeah, and just for transparency's sake, I have no problem with people like breaking up or even divorcing because like I get it. People, like I said, people are weird and people change and interests and hobbies and feelings and mannerisms change throughout your life. I have no problem in two people or even one person saying, "Hey, this isn't working for me anymore. Here's why. I want to go this direction, you want to go that direction." That I don't have a problem with. It's the when it's when it's above board, it still sucks, but at least the person or persons are being honest. It's when it's again, I doubt Trapper and uh Trapper's wife, Henry's wife, and Frank's wife are going to be aware of most of their misdeeds. So,
Well, out of
yeah.
all of them, I think Frank is the worst.
Yeah, cuz Frank is pure like Frank may or may not love Margaret. Like it's hard to say at times. I think sometimes most of the time it's genuine, but also we'll see in some future episodes that Frank is also motivated by what's in it for him. So,
I'm not, well, but hear me out. 3 points specifically. The hypocrite side of things, the beacon of morality tries to be the cross wearing prayer type. So you know that his wedding was probably, I don't know what religion Frank Burns is in the MASH universe, but I'm guessing Catholic. Oh wait, no, not
no, no,
Catholic.
not Catholic.
He probably Protestant.
Probably.
Yeah. Which, means that when him and his wife got
Mm.
married, they stood up in front of God for them. So,
Mhm.
which makes it so
Man,
much
if
worse.
only we could see Frank Burns' wedding.
Oh, mm, mm. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Second of all, that he is being committed. I can't explain this, but I want your thoughts. I feel like being that committed, whether you're doing it for personal benefit or not, to the mistress makes it a layer worse.
So it's kind of weird because as you're saying that, I was thinking about this. Like, yeah, he's got a single mistress that he dotes upon endlessly, but he's just got the one.
Yeah.
And he's at least faithful to her within the confines of camp. Henry and Trapper, however, and to an extent, I'll lump Hawkeye in because at this point, there's no way Hawkeye has not spent the evening, nor has Trapper, with every nurse in camp. Like, and they'll joke about it later in the series. Like, it's part of doctors and nurses living together. Like, it's gonna happen. But yeah, it's interesting. But I think we've tiptoed about saying anything too definitive or rage-inducing long enough. If you cheat, you should be killed. No, I'm kidding. No. That's a joke, everyone. But no, I'm glad we kind of talked about it because it is going to come up more in some very interesting episodes. So I'm glad
I'm hoping to get some audience input on it.
I would love some, again, audience, you don't have to go crazy. If we said something you didn't like, feel free to point it out, but respectfully, please. But yeah, if there are any more interesting or nuanced opinions that maybe we can consider, please share them, because again, I don't like the idea of people cheating on each other, but I also appreciate that people are people. I mean, I'll speak for myself as the child of parents who separated and then remarried each other 5 years later. I get it. People are weird. Relationships are weird, but I'm curious, since infidelity plays such a big part in a lot of the MASH episodes that we're going to discuss and have discussed, whether it's directly or indirectly, I'm curious kind of the audience's feelings on it as of right now. Audience, please do not go too far into the future. You know who I'm talking about. Let me put it this way to you, Ethan. Eventually the infidelity discussion will be very different.
Well, no shit. When we get there, it'll be in a few years, and I'll hopefully have, grown up and changed my opinions a little bit, assuming I don't, get arrested first, which
hey,
I call it 50-50.
Yeah. So, yeah, that conversation is over. We're now to the Officers Club, and man, that scene is rapidly approaching. Ethan, are you ready?
No, I'm not. Let's focus on the ginger ale. What kind do you think it is?
Who's to say?
You are, please.
You know what? You want to have some fun discussions? Let's have some fun discussions. Kwang Duk, the Korean bartender, is back, and I neglected to write down some information about Kwang Duk in the last episode he was in, which was obviously the Officers Club episode. Kwang Duk is played by Clyde Kuatsu. He has voiced hundreds of characters over the years.
Seriously?
Scooby-Doo, hundreds, tons, not literally Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
He has voiced 4 Scooby-Doo shows. He Rugrats, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. He's in Malcolm in the Middle at one point. I'm trying to find some other ones that I actually recognize. Yeah, just all over the place. Lilo and Stitch, Kim Possible. Most recently, or fairly recently, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And he has an appearance in the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender that is airing today as we record this, believe it or not.
Oh, that live action. I thought you meant the other one.
No, what other one?
Exactly.
Yeah. But even more interestingly, he is also known for playing a very sparse role, but still exists. Admiral Nakamura from Star Trek: The Next Generation He's one of the Starfleet admirals that appears randomly on the show, including in one of my personal favorite TNG episodes, The Measure of a Man, which is probably the best TNG episode I personally have seen thus far. I really like Measure of a Man. Short synopsis for Ethan, because I think you'll appreciate why I like this episode so much. The android Data aboard the Enterprise is put on trial to determine whether he is sentient and is thus deserving of rights as a person.
Holy shit, that sounds like a
It's
fantastic
a
episode.
wonderful episode. It's so good, Ethan. Beyond Starfleet, the next podcast we're doing in 10 years.
So if
Beyond
Data's
the
sentient-
Holodeck. That's the name of the episode. That's the name of the podcast. I'm messaging Jared right now.
So
I'm messaging Jared right now.
If
Hang
Data's sentient, can I fuck him?
So, God damn it, we're about to go on a hard tangent.
No, please.
Data is fully functional as a human android. I will let you interpret that to the best of your abilities. He is fully functional.
You know, I know it's my own fault, but I
Fully
still feel a
functional.
little uncomfortable. Like,
Mhm.
damn, I hate it when my actions have consequences.
Hang on. I realized that I got excited for calling it Beyond the Holodeck and realizing that I used the name of the other podcast I'm on, not ours. But you know what? Beyond the Holodeck works.
Yeah, I like it.
Anyway. My guess is that's probably already a Star Trek podcast. But anyway. So yes, Quang Duck. We love Quang Duck. Henry brings in Nancy. Frank and Margaret have opinions about her. We don't have to we just have to be polite. We don't have to make it as if we approve. As Henry is introducing Nancy to Frank and Margaret, Margaret makes a snide comment that, you know, she's almost as young as Frank's oldest daughter, which I don't think Frank's oldest daughter can be near her 20s. That just doesn't make sense based on how old Frank is, it seems. Maybe, I don't know. I would imagine Frank is in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, 30, 36, 37 would be my guess.
I don't. It's hard to say because I'm pretty sure the Doctors is supposed to be younger, but not like young. Like, because you have to. I'd imagine they're in their either early 30s to mid 30s, but again, hard to say. There's not really any mention of ages, but Nancy explains that everyone's just been so nice and it's been so wonderful, and Frank says one of the many lines Frank will be known for: "It's nice to be nice to the nice." Slap that on a t-shirt. Slap that on a t-shirt. It's gonna be fabulous. They wander away. Margaret is perplexed by Frank's decisions. They talk to Captain Pierce. And they order some drinks. And I was curious, since we now have the Officers Club, what drinks they ordered. Have you heard of either of these two drinks before, Ethan? A Pink Lady and a Peach Blow Fizz.
I've heard of a Pink Lady. Is a Peach Blow Fizz just a Bellini?
I don't think so. So, a Pink Lady is London Dry Gin, apple brandy, squeezed lemon juice, a little bit of simple syrup, a little bit of grenadine, one egg white, and then it's shaken.
Okay, that sounds fucking delicious. I'm
It kinda
just gonna
does.
say it. I love gin, and that I'm gonna order one. I'm gonna order one at the dive bar
What?
downtown, just for the hell of it.
What is the name of drinks that are mixed with an egg white like that? Is it a sour technically? Oh no, because it's not whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it's not a sour. I don't know.
There's a
'cause
name for like the style of drink this is, and I
I
can't
need to
think of it.
catch up on my how to drink. on my.
A peach blow fizz is surprisingly similar. It's gin, lemon juice, a little bit of simple, so either depending on what recipe you follow, another egg white or some whipping cream, and one muddled strawberry. Surprisingly, no peaches in there.
What? Yeah, hold on. What the fuck?
Hey, dude, it was the 50s. You could just name drinks anything back then.
This
And
here's the Horatio Cornblower.
The Horatio Cornblower. Oh,
Don't you
no.
want to know why we call it that?
No, my favorite thing is very clearly Nancy's favorite drink is this like new age kind of fruity, as we talked about, a little bit of a feminine drink, but again, we're not gatekeeping the feminine drinks, the fruity
Again,
drinks, the
yeah.
pink drinks. Drink whatever you like. But I love that Hawkeye's response to immediately after that, Henry going, "Yep, a peach blow fizz," and he's just like, "Uh-huh." Kind of like a Henry, do you even know what the hell a peach blow fizz is? This is the same man who wanted what did he want? A banana daiquiri?
Yeah, that's right. And the only man to have made me want a banana daiquiri.
But so as they're ordering their drinks, the jukebox begins to play Buckle Down Winsaki, a college fight song. And Nancy, whose actress, by the way, was a cheerleader. I think this is the part of the episode that I go, huh. Yeah. And Hawkeye, ever the snarky piece of shit he is, why don't you give us a cheer, Nance? And Henry's like, please fuck no. And then I'm going to time this. Hang on. Audience, we're going to sit here uncomfortably.
I'm not watching it again. I'm not gonna lie to you. As a red-blooded American male, it's very pleasing to watch until it cuts back to Henry, which it does every now and again.
Man, right when you think it's about to stop, the key changes.
Look at Henry, the proud father.
The proud father. Yep.
She's very talented.
She genuinely talented, but God, that scene went on about 10 seconds longer than it had to. It went
on. That scene did not need to exist.
That was a 30-second just cheer routine.
Why did it feel so much longer?
It felt so much longer than that. Which is weird because she's also 20, but she went to college and did cheer. So she was at college for 2 years? I'm confused.
You know, I don't know. I know that
MASH is notoriously shitty with timeline, so we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Henry and Trapper get called away to surgery. Henry asks Trapper, "What do you think about Nancy?" She seems all right. And then the ridiculous thing that Henry says, "I honestly think even my wife would like her." And Trapper is like, hey, bud. No. What? Red alert. Hawkeye walks Nancy back to her tent. And the other shoe drops where, yeah, Nancy is just a young, vivacious lady with hormones pumping.
Listen,
and Hawkeye
I had the opportunity,
tall and handsome and witty and charming, and oh boy, that is a recipe for disaster.
I would absolutely make a move on Alan Alda given the chance.
I love that. I love tall men. Me too. I've always been crazy about Abe Lincoln. Nancy is putting on the charm heavily to Hawkeye. And as Hawkeye will go on to tell Trapper, gives him a goodnight tonsillectomy that leaves him stunned. He has to remind Nancy that 1, we're not at the parking lot of the prom, and 2, one of us loves Henry Blake, and I'm pretty sure it's me. which is a ridiculous line, but also if you analyze a little bit, like, yeah, you don't like Henry. You're like, you like Henry. I don't think you dislike Henry. You're more interested in the sexual thrill of where and when and how you are right now. Which again, I get. She 20, she traveling the world. Doesn't mean it's necessarily right, but Ethan, save me. Help.
I don't think it's right. I also think that she is 20 and young and unattached, and probably Henry is moving a lot faster in this thing than she is. You know,
Yeah.
she had the chance to see a genuine frontline army camp in South Korea, and maybe she has a death wish. Maybe she wants to see the action. Maybe she just wants a cool story. The end of the day, I can't help but imagine that. Well, first of all, it's amazing that in any sense she did not get scared away when Henry busted out the big L word within a few months of knowing her, let
Um,
alone a week or less.
days,
Yeah,
Ethan.
seriously, it's. I have been batshit crazy for a gal or
Now,
two in my time, but I have never, ever been that way.
now to be okay, you kind of answered the question I was about to ask. I believe in The Godfather, it is described as the thunderbolt.
Hmm.
Have you ever been thunderbolted by someone?
What like at first sight, or have I had a moment when I knew, oh fuck, I'm screwed? Because I've had a moment where I knew, oh fuck, I'm screwed.
What do you mean? Oh fuck, I'm screwed. Like a positive oh fuck you're screwed, or a negative oh fuck? Like,
Well,
I'm talking about the example in The Godfather is eye contact. You're the one. You're the one. Whether or not they end up being the one, but in that moment, you're the one. You're the one of my dreams. Have you had the
n-
thunderbolt moment?
not at first sight. No, I have never looked at someone and thought, oh my god, you're it. It has had to have been after a good amount of knowing someone. I'm not saying
Mm.
it doesn't exist. I like to think happily ever after exists. I think love is real and it can survive a lifetime, but I just haven't seen it because my parents hated each other and
Mm.
themselves.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Anyway, let's change the subject before things get more depressing. To reciprocate, since I would never ask a question like that without also having my own answer.
Love you.
Thunderbolt, no.
You've been
I've been
thunderstruck.
I have not been thunderbolted in the way that The Godfather describes it, but I definitely had a oh fuck, I like this person. Like it didn't come on slowly, it was a sudden oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another episode, I think.
Yeah, I've had one of those. We'll talk about that another time.
So as Hawkeye is explaining to Trapper the uh tonsillectomy he just received from Nancy, Trapper explains that Henry was pulled out of the OR for a phone call from his wife, and they're worried that he's about to do something incredibly stupid. Fortunately, speaking with his wife has cleared some things up for Henry. They come into the office, and he is currently having an argument with his wife about how he can't balance her checkbook in a war zone. I love the one-sided phone calls in MASH. Lorraine, please don't talk to me while yelling at the kids. What? Andrew, I don't care if your sister did stick an ice cube down your shorts. You can't hit her with the dog. Like what? What? I feel it necessary for no reason at all that he has a very nice father-son moment telling his son he's the man of the house until he gets back. And then
I
he
will
gets the phone
fucking
back.
end you.
Shush. He gets the phone back to Lorraine. He says, I'll help you balance your checkbook. And you get that pause. Of course I do, honey. Which her question was, or wait, what? Let me make sure I hear what he said. Hang on. You mustn't hit her with the dog. Oh, yeah. There's the pause. Of course I do. And then he hangs up, and it's very much a like, "Do you love me?" Yada yada yada. You know, whatever she said in that moment. You know, it was like very personal. And Hawkeye and Trapper standing sheepishly at the back of the room. And I love how McLean Stevenson plays this scene, where it's like he knows why they're there. He explains very tactfully to them, "Hey, I've been an idiot. I'm aware I've been an idiot. No further discussion is needed." And they gracefully depart the room. We then get the realization that Henry did not call his wife, or Henry's wife did not call him. Henry called his wife, but Henry didn't call his wife. Radar called his wife because he figured, well, since you didn't have time to write a letter, and some might see this as Radar meddling, but I see this as yet another example. And there's an even better, there's a wonderful example at the start of season 4 that Radar's emotional intelligence and his awareness of others is wild. Like, my man is emotionally intelligent. Also, I'm pretty sure gift giving is one of his love languages. Let's put it that way. Because this is like the second or third time now we've seen Radar do like the perfect thing, or do a thing that is very selfless of him, and is like like getting Henry a baby that was born about the same time of his son to see. The little line to Margaret from a few episodes back, where she's clearly upset she got only one piece of mail, and he's like, "Oh, well, here's how I get more mail." Like, the genuine goodness of Radar is so, I want to hold it and protect it. But yeah. We then see the departure of Miss Nancy Sue. She can't wait to see Henry again in Tokyo, blows him a kiss, and then the slut looks over at Hawkeye lustfully and does the little finger wave. What?
Rah rah.
Rah rah. like I kid mostly, but damn, the writers did Nancy dirty. Like, now that you know her whole like MO, they just like, oh, unleash the floodgate. She's gonna like lustfully wave back at Hawkeye. God, it's so good. And then we end on the joke that if you had sucked in your gut one more time, your navel would have fallen out your backside. Yeah. And that is Henry in Love. Yeah. So I said, and I feel like I may have tainted your thoughts on this show. I said last week that this might be one of my least favorite episodes of MASH. Ignoring that comment for a minute, what do you think of this episode?
I wish they did what they did a different way, because when you take away the age difference that I have a problem with and will probably always have a problem with, it's a really good episode that shows the bond between the guys in camp.
I don't disagree with that.
When the chips are down, for as much shit as they will give each other for whatever poor decisions they make, Hawkeye was about to bust in there without a second thought, and, lay his cards on the table, and Trap was there to back him up. And when it became apparent that it was, not necessary to do so, why burst his bubble? He knows he done wrong. He doesn't need to be kicked while he's down. And then you have Radar with the emotional intelligence of someone 5 times his age. Yeah, probably single-handedly saving Henry's marriage. They did a lot of good in this episode. I just wish they did it a different way.
Okay. So I think a lot of my hatred of the episode is just thinking about the just kind of cringiness that is Nancy sometimes. I don't know if age has like made that a little less of a thing for me. Like I think I came into it thinking, oh, this is gonna be as bad as Edwina, but now at the other end of it, like it's not great, but it really isn't terrible. I do think our chat about uh I do think our chat about like the infidelity and like the relationship kind of helped because it's like it's setting up whether it meant to or not some groundwork for later episodes.
Mm.
But there are still parts that are kind of cringy. Like, yeah, it's
I can't believe the cheerleading dance scene only went on for 30 seconds. It felt so
it
much
was only
longer.
30 seconds. So with that being said, Ethan, what would you rate out of 5 Henry in Love?
I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. You know,
Okay.
it's still a failing grade, but I can't hate on it as much as I probably felt like I was going to at the beginning of the episode because there are good qualities. You know, for as much shit as I've given it, there are good qualities that I genuinely appreciate it, but there's a lot in here I just can't get over for my own, moral grandstanding reasons. So I think 2 is the best you're going to get out of me. What about you?
I am willing to say, again, I'm gonna actually surprise some people based on what I said last week. I'm gonna actually give it a higher grade than you.
Mm.
Simply because, again, with hindsight and foresight of what is to happen in the series, and analyzing it beyond just the surface watching of the episode like we have, I appreciate that this does give maybe not exactly how we wanted it, but a little bit of character, maybe not development, but character fleshing out for Henry. Like, yes, he isn't quite the womanizer Hawkeye and Trapper are. He's not as conniving of with his adultery as Frank, but he still does attempt to and sometimes successfully cheat. But at the end of the day, he will not go so far as to ruin his marriage. A feat that it was much easier back then when Facebook and the internet didn't exist, by the way. But
Yeah, when you move 2 counties away, change your name.
you're basically a new person, yeah.
Yeah.
So with
You
that being said,
fuckers took that from me. All of you out there, you listen to me. You took my birthright to be a goddamn drifter, and I will never forgive you for that. What were we talking about?
so I am gonna say, for me, this episode sits. I'm gonna say, you know what? No, I'm gonna match you. It's Fred C. Dobbs level for me. It's not the worst episode, but it could be better. I'm gonna say it's a 2 as well, just because I think it does give us a little bit of like you said, the guys backing each other up a little bit, but still trying to push a good moral decision at the end of the day. But it's still a little cringy, still a little just something about it, right? Just something about it.
Just something.
We will go now to the audience, and we will start with our Patreon. Yes, we have a Patreon, however you want to say it. We are supported over there by, you're never going to believe this, Ethan, 8 people now.
Bullshit.
8 people. Ethan, we've conned 8 people into giving us money. No.
Are you using us for money laundering? Because
No,
I'm cool with it,
no.
but you
No.
gotta let me know because I'm already on the hook with the IRS.
No. We have some fantastic supporters. Basically, what the Patreon does is it allows us to make this podcast net zero. We are starting to approach, so long as we don't do any crazy, ridiculous long episodes again in the near future. We are starting to approach not only the break-even point, we are starting to surpass the break-even point and being able to put some monies into a little pool for some future projects, we hope. So thank you for all of you.
Please.
We are not too far away from that becoming a possibility.
Yeah.
But Yes, I am excited. But until that day comes, we want to say a special thank you to the following Patreon members. I am trying to get better about shouting you guys out because it's one of the very few things we're able to do for you right now as the hosts of this fabulous show. So a special thank you to Private Stuart Boyles, Private Carrie Ahern, Private Jared Gallagher, Sergeant Louise Black, Sergeant Timothy Burleson, Lieutenant Mike Jameson, and Lieutenant Leanne. Thank you all so much. You make this podcast pay for itself, which at the end of the day is all we really need, but we're hoping to bring you more in the future.
That's
So
so
thank you,
fucking
thank
cool,
you.
guys.
You
Thank
guys
you.
rock. Thank you for your support. As always, if Patreon is not something you're interested in doing, that is perfectly fine. Share us, talk with us, listen to us. That's
Love
all
with
we
us.
ask. With maybe.
What?
With that being said, let's quickly run through the comments we got on Patreon first, and then we'll hop over to Twitter. For as much as this episode isn't that great, says Mike Jameson, it truly cements the strengths of the relationship between Henry, Trapper, Hawkeye, and Radar. Yeah, the boys being the boys.
I really resent how Mike Jameson is always able to say what I'm trying to say in much better plain English.
Mike just summed up our thoughts on this episode in a sentence, and we've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, Mike, shut up. I'm kidding. Please
I was going to say brevity is the soul of wit, but you know.
Well, yeah, but I don't have soul or wit, so I'm a little jealous, okay? Moving on.
Stuart says, as a 44-year-old married man who is away from his family a lot, this episode resonates with me. Yeah, for sure Henry needs to keep it in his pants, but I can imagine Henry is pretty lonely, and if someone like Nancy made a pass at him and made him feel wanted for more than balancing a checkbook, then I can kind of see how he got turned around. I think this episode succeeds in telling a compelling story about how friends look out for each other. Frank and Margaret can kick sand. 4.2 out of 5.
See, that's the kind of insight that I like to hear. That's a
Frank
really good
and Margaret
perspective.
can kick sand. I love that. Yeah. And now over to the hell site that is Twitter. For comments on the episode. Further expanding upon his thoughts, Mike Jameson says he'll always defend the early years and with questionable ethics and all, but Henry, you can do so much better. A glimpse into the every woman falls for Hawkeye future. Oh dear.
Oh, Jesus
the
Christ,
episode is
tell me
redeemed by.
no.
Would you not fall for Alan Alda though?
I already have.
The episode is redeemed by the two famous lines and some funny one-liners. 2.9 martinis out of 5. A bottom-dwelling episode. Yeah, it's definitely not one of the high ones. That's for sure. Which is surprising because I think with that 2.9 and R2, everyone else liked it more than us. Chief Smash Forever says 3 out of 5. Why this is not a classic? There are so many funny moments watching Henry get in shape, his hair dye running down his face. Another bottle episode that allows Henry, Trap, and Blake to interact a lot. Definitely give it a 3 because I enjoy Henry, but not Mash's finest. Agree. I like McLean Stevenson in this episode. He sold it. He sold it really well. Let me see here. Scroll. Come on, internet. Do the thing. All right. Donator says 3.25. No denying this episode is awkward as hell. Easy to see where the hate comes from, but the actual writing is really good in my opinion. Love the digs Hawkeye and Trapper make toward Henry, and Hawkeye turning Nancy down out of respect for Henry. Yep. Because absolutely, any other day of the week, Hawkeye would have been like, yeah, this is fine. Samuel says Catherine Bauman was a smoke show.
Yep. Fucking men. Still is, damn.
Oh, Bella Sissa. Knee-jerk response. What a conniving little brat. 3.5 out of 5. This one has some great moments, but damn, it's really hard to get past Nancy Sue. Henry is hysterical, and Hawkeye and Trapper razzing him are stellar. I just wish it had been true love interest, not Little Miss Rah Rah. Oh, God.
Rah Rah?
Bella Sissa, tell us how you really feel. Like, Little Miss Rah Rah. 3.5 from Big Beard Booty Daddy. Not a huge fan of this one. Watching Henry cheat on his wife just rubs me the wrong way. It's a time and place episode, but it's a little gross. Yeah. 3.5 from Shiftless When Idle. Fidelity was never Henry's strong point. We see evidence of that later. Radar Smart from Bill Welcome at Fox 61. Are we getting followed by like a news anchor? Oh no.
God, I hope so.
Radar smart enough to remind Henry that his life is bigger than just a young woman he met once. Great quote. Henry, your hair is bleeding. Yep. Paul Mitchell says an episode crammed full of quotable lines. Sadly, the horrible skin-crawling romance, quote unquote, between Henry and Nancy Sue is too much to take for my 2024 palate. Yeah. I think a lot of people are of the same mindset as us. Not a funny moments, good character moments, but just overall, just it's better than say the horrible one, the one we really don't like,
Edwina.
It's better than Edwina, but it's still not. It's just anyway. So yeah, that is Henry in Love. Our next episode is For Want of a Boot, and I'm excited to say we have a guest for that episode. I'm excited to say we have guests for quite a few of the back half of season 2. It sounds like we are going to have Chief Smash Forever for Want of a Boot. We're going to have, I got to reach out to our friend Tyler to come on and talk some Korean stuff with us for Chosen People. And I just spoke to Greg from Beyond the Humidor, who you guys might remember from 5 O'Clock Charlie. He has mentioned that he would like to come for Crisis, which is, I believe, another couple months from now. So yeah, we're gonna finish up season 2 strong as we go into the summer. Start thinking about it now, audience. It's quite a ways away, but I do think we'll do another season 2 wrap up when we get there, kind of like we did for season 1. But then we might interject a movie, and I'm not sure. We've mentioned a couple movies that are tangentially related to MASH. Bonzo Goes to College, or whatever the first Bonzo movie is called. And there are a couple others, but if you guys got suggestions, start thinking about them, because we will poll you guys for what movie we should watch in between seasons 2 and 3. But until then,
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and then you
why?
Go home.
Why?
Malibu Creek.
Okay, Ethan.
You said tangentially.
Anyway, that's all I got. Do you want to close with anything, Ethan?
Rah rah.
Rah rah. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.